Hey folks, it's Yaron from Tiger Beetle, and today I want to talk to you about coffee you can love. That starts with the bean. Today we've got this Guatemala chocolate block, nice blend. I just picked it up from the shop this morning. And the most important thing is to look at the roasting date, which here is 5 days ago, so just barely usable. The roast is pretty important, needs to be at least within a week, freshly roasted. A lot of the stuff you pick up at the shop will maybe be 2 weeks or 3 weeks old, so you're starting at a loss. This is a pretty cool blend from a company called Tribe Coffee in Cape Town. They've got some amazing stuff, and this is my first time trying this, so it's going to be interesting. I don't know, what they say on here is power rating 4+, so going to be really interesting. So important thing with the bean, just get a fresh roast. After that, the next step is the coffee machine. Well, not exactly. The next step is the grinder. Here we've got a Mazza. It's not a bad grinder. Obviously, it's Italian. It's pretty good actually, almost like the Maserati of grinders. This is just such a cool grinder to have. What's really important with the grinder is that a lot of folks will get like a B to C coffee machine, bean to cup. So they get this fancy, expensive automated coffee machine. You just push a button, you get your coffee. The reason why maybe that's not a great idea is that this grinder doesn't fit inside one of those automated machines. So they really have kind of a rinky-dink grinder, and the burrs inside those automated machines, those grinders really can't chop the coffee bean fine enough. You really do need something with these kinds of burrs that will just really get a fine grind. The reason why you want that is because coffee is really input. You've got the bean, you grind that up into nice fine particles for surface area. You force the water through at pressure, it goes through that, and you get output. Now, if you don't grind it fine enough, it's really just boulders or rocks, what will happen then is the water's just going to shoot through and you don't get an even extraction. So that's why you really do want a separate grinder. Grinder is probably the most important, even more important than the coffee machine. And basically what I want to just convey today is that coffee is really all about static allocation. So you've got 3 simple variables. The first one is dose. So we're going to grind an amount of coffee. We're going to statically allocate that weight. So fixed amount of weight that we want as an input. Then we're going to force some water through it for a certain amount of time, again statically allocated. Today we're going to do like 27 seconds. You could do 25 to 30 seconds. If you do too short, it's maybe going to be sour. Too long, it's going to be bitter. So we're just going to do 27 seconds on the time variable. For dose, we're going to aim for about 18 grams. And that can be really sensitive because espresso is really concentrated. So even 18.1 or 18.2 can make a difference. We're gonna do about 18. Actually, maybe we're gonna do about 20 today, I think. I've just been playing around with this grinder to dial it in for this type of bean. So let's try 20 grams. 20 grams input is the dose, 27 seconds on time. And then finally, the third variable that's statically allocated is yield. Yield is really just the amount of coffee liquid that comes into the cup. Just weigh the cup afterwards. So we've statically allocated all three variables. We've seen the grind. The next step is the machine, and here again, obviously it's Italian. It's not just Italian though. This coffee machine comes from Milan, so it's a Rancilio. It's the Miss Sylvia Pro. I used to have a Miss Sylvia for years, and it was so awesome. My parents have now got it and they're into it and love it. But this Rancilio Miss Sylvia is really awesome coffee machine. It's so simple. It doesn't have any bells or whistles. It just works really well. And this is the only Hacker News proof coffee machine, because you'll find this coming up again and again in the comments. And this is the only one to survive those comments. So really nice machine. You can keep it for years. You'll pay it off in 2 years. Really worth it. So let's give it a go. Here's our portafilter, really heavy. It's got the basket in, and we're gonna just basically weigh this off, tear it. There we go, it's on 0 grams on the scale. Nice sound. Okay, and now what we've got is something that isn't level, right? It's not leveled. So let's level it a little bit. Check it like that. Okay, weigh it off. Let's see. 20 grams, not bad. 21, okay. 20, 20.5, good. Let's try that. This is the Kalahari Desert at the moment. It's very sandy. The sand isn't compacted. With coffee, compaction is really important. Leveling is also extremely important. So you have something called a tamper, and often what happens when you buy a machine is you'll get like a free plastic tamper that comes with it. So you just throw that away because that really does nothing. The plastic is not heavy enough. You need this heavy thing. I don't know if you can feel it. This thing to sort of tamp it down. And then often another step where people go wrong is they take this Kalahari Desert and straight away tamp it. And what that means is you've now got different sort of pressure densities in the filter basket. So the water will shoot through in different places, and it's going to come out here and like a sprinkler and move around, and instead of just coming out the center evenly. So how do we fix that? Well, leveling is important, compaction is important, and obviously Tiger Beetle distributed database distribution is important. This is called a coffee distributor. It's by Sasha Sestic, one of the world champion baristas. He invented this, many prototypes, pretty amazing, these fins, how it works. And basically you just pop this in the filter, like this, spin it, and now we've got something that's perfectly level. Perfectly level, evenly distributed. Now we're ready to tamp. Let's go for it. Okay, wait, let me do that on the tamping mat. Great. Now we clip it into our machine. Temperature of the machine is all good. Let's take our coffee cup. Let's tear it off. We're gonna check the weight. Okay, teared at 0. And there we are. 27 seconds. While we're doing that, let's just do the milk. This is a nice double boiler machine, so we can do that at the same time concurrently. "27 seconds are done." Obviously, concurrency is super important when you're making coffee. You don't want to have to wait between shots as you steam the milk. Otherwise, your friends are going to wait a long time. You're going to have queuing effects. Basically, when you steam the milk, you don't want it to be too hot. Not too hot to touch. There we go. We're good. And let's just check finally. How did we do? 30 grams, not bad. So we were aiming for like 30 to 36 grams, like a 2-to-1 ratio for every gram of input. Remember, we had 20 grams of input. 20 grams of input, we're aiming for maybe 2 out. So here we're a little bit less, but that's fine. We're like a bit of a ristretto, or it's not quite a ristretto, we're still espresso. Very nice, so 31 grams. Check out that crema, which is just really the carbon in the coffee, but it always looks cool. Let's now add do a bit of a pour. There we go. And that is coffee statically allocated.